Teach your children well. Their father's hell did slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams, the one they picked, the one you know by. Don't you ever ask them why. If they told you, you would cry. So just look at them and sigh, and know they love you.
One of the trends I was noticing around the country were the beginnings of gardens, whether they were community gardens or school gardens, and thought, wow, this would be a really somewhat easy thing to do for Greenway and get kids back outside and being able to integrate their science curriculum into growing things out there. And so I tried to test the waters and see how many other parents were interested in that. And there were quite a few folks who were interested in getting a garden going, and as well as the teachers at Greenway, as well as the principal. I had to go to the principal first and get his blessing, and he was more than happy to see that happening, especially with a lot of community involvement and private donations, because they frankly didn't have the funding on their own to get a garden going. So a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into making the Greenway garden what it is.
Dominique.
Dominique. And what grade are you in?
4th.
What's going on here today?
We're having Earth Day. It's to help plant stuff so we can get more money, so we can get that fixed.
To conserve water for our garden right here, we have 2 big black tanks over there.
Yes.
That when the monsoons come, it comes down into those big barrels.
Mm-hmm.
But the bad thing is that our gutters and those pipes are broken, so we don't have any water in those buckets.
So you're raising money to stop the leak?
Yes, and we're writing persuasive letters to the companies to help us fix the gutters.
One little brown bat can eat 1,200 flying insects in 1 hour.
Yeah, I'm talking about predators, not
Go ahead.
pesticides. Not pesticides.
Okay.
So I want to encourage the kids to be nice to the predators and not kill them.
And what's an example of a predator?
What's an example of a predator, you guys?
A spider, a bat, a
A ladybug. You mean I'm supposed
ladybug.
to be nice to a spider?
Why?
Yep.
Why?
Because they're looking for food.
I've noticed a huge interest in the children in the sustainability projects. Whenever you bring up anything about sustainability, food, solar, wind, any topics along those lines, they're eager to work. Especially out here in the garden, we have this huge rock pile over here. All the rocks were scattered around the garden, and I just had the 4th graders raking and shoveling, and they could do it for 2 hours straight, no whining or anything. You know, they just want to get put to work.
One of our primary challenges was to have a secure space for a garden, because in talking with some of the teachers who had been there for quite a while, they had a garden at Greenway before, and they had lots of deer and javelina coming in and pretty much wiping out whatever progress they were making in the garden. So our biggest challenge was to find a space that we could enclose, and of course, being Bisbee, people weren't interested in just doing a simple chain link fence to do that. So we put a lot of time and effort into planning and designing that wall that surrounds the community garden right now, and got donations of pallets. Freeport McMoran was able to donate soil and iron pipes for us. We were able to use parent labor to construct the wall out of pallets and stucco, and it took us quite a long time to get it. But once we had it up, then we felt like we've got a secure space, and that kids could start planting things in there and not have to worry about the deer and javelina and coming in and wiping out their hard-earned efforts.
You planted this?
Yep. I started this from just seeds, straight up seeds.
Yeah, Joe.
Really?
This is
Straight
a
from
tomato.
seeds, huh?
Straight from seeds.
And do you make sure it stays watered?
Yeah. Well, and then we transplanted my tomato plant into this bigger bucket.
The hope really is that the kids will kind of reignite in their own parents the idea of being able to grow your own food in your own yard or in your own neighborhood. something that's been lost through the generations, but you know, it's very likely that these kids' parents will have had parents themselves or grandparents that took that as second nature to be growing things locally.
Are you going to have a garden when you grow up and you have your own home? Will you have a garden?
Yeah, I have a garden. I have a garden right now.
You got one right now?
Yeah.
And what do you grow in it?
I grow carrots, tomatoes, strawberries, watermelon, and squash.
Like, we can show, like, how much we need to, like, recycle, refuse to the plastic bags, and, like, showing what we need to do for the earth, and then try to, like, celebrate, like, how we need to do more stuff for the earth to have a better environment.
When the wind needs to go 15 miles or more in order for the windmill to spin.
Okay.
And when it starts spinning, back here there's a generator.
Okay.
And what the generator does is it generates electricity for people that run off windmill electricity.
So you can hook it up to your house and turn your lights on.
You just need to call the company that does it.
One way that the garden coordinators over the last couple of years have been tracking it is the number of teachers that have been using it, and then in turn the number of students each of those teachers have that get involved for a certain number of days during the year. And these were tracked pretty well by Jen Johnson, the first garden coordinator, and then again by Sarah Megason in this last year. And there was a definite increase in the number of student hours spent in the garden from one year to the next. And this effort's been going on since the spring of 2009.
1 year, one shopper, 500 bags on the bag monster, and 60,000
used every 5 seconds.
All you do is cut the sleeves off and you sew the bottom. And then you have bags that you can take to Safeway and bring home and reuse. So you can take a bunch to Safeway, really compact. You fold them all up, and then you can take and buy a whole week's worth of groceries and put them in your reusable bags.
It's in the Pacific Ocean, and it spins, and it's just filled with a bunch of plastic. It's just like a little island in the ocean
Of garbage.
Of plastic.
We started out with basically nothing to get this garden up and going. I used my resources to tap into some funding and grant writing. We applied for a grant from Lowe's Toolbox for Education and received in the spring of 2009 a $5,000 grant to help purchase tools and materials for the garden. I was also able through my position to apply for a mini grant within our own organization, Cooperative Extension, that had been funded by Coca-Cola's the Coca-Cola Foundation. It's called 4H2O program for water conservation. And through a mini grant process within our organization, I was able to secure another $3,500 for rainwater harvesting tanks, for one tank and a solar pump and solar panel to get water off that roof near the garden and try to save the school some money in terms of not having to pump potable water just to water our garden.
We're trying to help people try not to throw paper on the ground. We're going to have a little field trip going by Safeway to the Naco Highway, and we're going to clean it up by the Naco Highway.
Pick out all the plastic bags.
So littering, not good?
No.
As parents, we came up with the principles behind the garden, and we were strongly in favor of no pesticides or herbicides, and also using recycled or reused materials to build the garden. And rainwater harvesting fit perfectly within those principles, you know, being able to use free water essentially and not tax our potable water resources.
This says renewable resource.
Tell them what yours is. Oh, what my project was water. And then water I want to tell you about is the Naco golf course. It uses the water that we're not supposed to drink. Like the sewage water, people clean the water and it comes out of the pipe, and then the Naco golf course gets this water to water the grass.
It's wastewater?
Yep. And then instead of the Naco golf course using our drinking water, they use the water that we can't drink.
Thanks to funding from Freeport-McMoran and their Sustainable Communities grant, we were able to provide a year and a year's plus of funding for that position. And there is a little bit of that funding left to help repair the tanks. But I know that the school district's maintenance guys are stretched pretty thin, and they've been really responsive, and they were really helpful when we established the garden in terms of setting up those tanks for us, getting the pipeline to the garden for us, making sure the solar panel and the pump were working properly. Unfortunately, it kind of took a back burner, was put on the back burner because of all the other demands that were put on these guys around the district, because they're not just in charge of Greenway, they have 2 other schools to deal with. At the time, given the funds that we had to work with, we thought plastic would be the easiest way to go. That decision was made by the district to go ahead and get the plastic gutters and get them up quickly. But the sun really takes its toll on plastics here in the Southwest, and as we've been seeing, they're not holding up very well. So I think replacing those with metal or steel gutters is a great way to ensure that that rainwater harvesting system will be there for the kids and for the garden.
So I'm going to spin it, and it's going to form a tornado.
How are you going to spin it like that? Okay, all right. And there it is. That's the tornado, huh?
Yeah, see the tornado?
Look at that. Look at that. And it shot the house right down into the bottom.
Yeah. So that's how a tornado works.
Refuse,
You mean, what do you mean?
reuse,
Go ahead.
Reduce, and recycle, people. It's awesome.
No, it's refuse, reduce, reuse, and recycle.
Well, sorry for my
Do you have to go home and teach these things to your parents? Or do they already know about it?
Well, so some of the parents can come over here. Like, it's like a welcome-free zone right now. So like everyone can come over here and learn about like what we should do for the earth. Like we have some booths. Yeah, we have booths everywhere.
Renewable resources, non-renewable resources.
Yeah.
And so, do you recycle?
No, we need to refuse.
We refuse.
You mean, what do you mean? Go ahead.
Well, refuse means like, well, you have to get rid of it. Don't use it at all instead of like using. Like we don't use the bags.
Instead of reuse, reduce, and recycle, it's 4 us now. Refuse, so that you refuse the plastic.
Your hand up. I promise to bring reusable bags to Safeway and not take any plastic bags.
12,000 plastic bags. There's 12,000 bags every second. So 1 second, 12,000 bags, 2 seconds, 24,000
in this country. So we don't really need to be using that much plastic.
Teach your parents well. The children's hell will slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams. The one they picked, the one you'll know by. Don't you ever ask them why. If they told you, you would cry. So just look at them and sigh.